The queen was pregnant with twins, but only gave birth to one baby. She forcefully held back the second child. After the midwife is sent away, a maid crawls under the blankets. She says the second baby's head is already showing. Twin girls are considered a terrible omen in Silla, so they must be killed. But the queen can't hold back anymore. The second girl is born. At the same time, strange signs appear in the sky. The Kyong star splits in two. The Big Dipper becomes 8 stars instead of 7. This is a sign of a future king's birth. Missil, who always wanted to be queen, also notices the strange sky. Her face turns fierce as she thinks of the queen's newborn. She orders her men to surround the palace. She plans to execute the queen and both babies for the crime of having twins. The king knows how cruel Missil is. He can't let her find proof, so he tells a maid to secretly take the second baby away. The clumsy maid knows she can't do this alone. She tries to refuse, but the king has no one else. Missil's men are getting closer. The king pushes the baby into the maid's arms. He tells her to run. Suddenly loud knocking shakes the door. They freeze, thinking it's Missil. But it's Munno, the Guxian, calling from outside. The king quickly opens the door. He is the only loyal minister the king can trust. They quickly discuss the urgent situation. Munno rushes out with the child in his arms. His great skills help him break through several guards. But on a bridge an arrow finally hits him. What falls from his hands isn't the child, it's just a roll of cloth. Everyone realizes Munno tricked them. When Missil hears the news, she learns that besides Munno, only the foolish maid remains by the king's side. She orders her men to capture the maid near the palace walls. The maid still refuses to keep the child. She pushes the baby to a guard. Then she crawls out through a dog hole. The guard thinks it's the maid's illegitimate child. He tells her to take responsibility. So he puts the baby back into the dog hole. The maid has no choice but to take it again. The baby smiles at her. Her heart melts instantly. She runs up the mountain with the child. By the time the search order reaches the guard, he realizes his mistake. Missil arrives just then without the child. She can't prove it's a twin, so she has no reason to kill the queen. Furious, she kills 4 men with her sword. She sends her best fighter Chilsuk to catch the maid. Following the baby's cries, Chilsuk chases them to a cave. The cave is very dark, with many small tunnels. He orders his men to set fires at each tunnel entrance. They want to smoke the maid out. The maid endures the smoke. She gives the baby mouth-to-mouth breathing, but the baby cries louder and louder. The maid runs out of the tunnel with the baby. Soldiers immediately capture her. As Chilsuk takes the baby to leave, 2 arrows fly toward them. It's Munno. He jumps down, draws his sword and charges Chilsuk, orders soldiers to block him, but Munno smiles strangely. With quick moves he defeats all the soldiers. Then he wounds Chilsuk. He escapes with the maid and baby. Chilsuk gets on his horse and chases them. After this the 4 disappear from Silla. Over 10 years later, at the edge of the Taklamakan desert in Sway, Chilsuk, still searching for the maid, meets a girl named Dakman. He tells her about his 15-year hunt. He says he's chased Silla's second princess all this time. Neither realizes the princess in his story is this plain-looking girl. The kind girl takes him to her mother's inn. At first glance the man and her mother seem familiar. As the woman leads him upstairs, the man deliberately speaks in Silla language. The woman is shocked. The man also notices something strange. While the woman is downstairs serving guests, he sneaks into her room to search for clues. Meanwhile, Dakman is also downstairs telling the man's story to familiar guests. Her mother listens and finds the story strangely familiar. It matches her own memory of escaping with Dakman years ago. She asks Dakman where she heard the story. Dakman says the man told her. The mother quickly pulls Dakman inside. She starts packing to escape. Dakman asks why, but her mother won't explain. Meanwhile, the man finds proof. The blanket that wrapped the second princess and a letter from Silla's Munno. He searched for 15 years. Now he finally finds it here. Dakman and her mother return upstairs unaware. The man steps out suddenly. He calls the woman by her real name. She collapses in fear. Then she claims Dakman is her daughter. Dakman doesn't understand their conversation. The man grabs the woman, refusing to believe her. Dakman bites him to protect her mother. They briefly escape and hide in a room, but they're no match for the man. He holds a sword to Dakman's neck, threatening to take her back to Silla. Seeing this, the mother stabs the man with an arrow. She desperately takes Dakman and flees toward Rome that same night. But they didn't bring enough food or water. Soon the mother collapses in the desert. Dakman leaves her mother in a cave and goes to fetch water. Meanwhile, the man follows their footprints. The mother runs out of the cave to warn Dakman. When she sees Dakman, she shouts and runs down in panic. But she accidentally steps into quicksand. Dakman reaches out but can't touch her mother. She throws a rope to her mother. She tries to pull her mother out, but the man arrives. Not wanting to burden Dakman, the mother takes out a knife. She tells Dakman to run, then she slowly cuts the rope. Dakman cries and begs to save her mother, but the mother tells her she must live on. After saying this, the mother slowly sinks into the quicksand. Dakman screams in despair. The man pulls her out of the sand pit, but the man suddenly looks into the distance. Dakman sees it too. A sandstorm is coming. After the blinding storm passes, Dakman and the man are blown to different places. Dakman crawls out of the sand, calling for her mother. Finally, she finds a bundle her mother left behind. She tries to dig her mother out from day to night until she can dig no more. Some travelers find and rescue her. They offer to take Dakman to Rome, the place she always wanted to go, but Dakman refuses. She wants to know her true identity and decides to return to Silla. Inside her mother's bundle, she finds a letter with Munno's name on it. She thinks Munno might be her father. She doesn't know yet that she's actually the second princess of Silla, after years of being missing her real father. The king of Silla believes she's dead. Every year, he loses a son. None of them live past 5 years old. The queen kneels and cries, mentioning the old prophecy about royal twins, the sacred bones prophecy. An ancient prophecy in Silla says twin girls will bring death to all royal males. So twins are usually killed at birth. But the king couldn't bear to kill his own child. He had a maid take one twin out of the palace. Everyone was told the queen had only one baby named Kianmying. Over the years, she's the only princess who survived. All the other royal children died young. The king finds Princess Kianmying and tells her another prophecy with hope. On the night she was born, the sky showed strange signs. A star split in two. The Big Dipper became 8 stars. This means a ruler is born. She's destined to be Silla's next ruler. But now she must stay alert. She must fight against Missil, the powerful woman who controls everything. Kianmying accepts this challenge. But before she can act, Missil teaches her a harsh lesson. First, Silla and Beach have been fighting each other for years. Missil suggests sending Kianmying's husband Yongsu to lead the army. Yongsu cannot refuse. As a royal family member with a title, the Hwarang warriors won't follow the crown prince. He has never served the country in battle. The princess begs her mother in tears. She asks her mother to convince the king not to send Yongsu. Kianmying pleads with her mother, but her mother knows even the king cannot go against the minister's wishes. The sad princess sews a protective charm onto her husband's armor, but she pricks her finger on the last stitch. This is another bad sign. Tears start flowing without her realizing. The next day, Yongsu leads the army to war. The princess spends anxious days filled with nightmares. Suddenly someone outside shouts, "Victory news." The princess runs out. A soldier says, "Lord Yongsu has won a great victory. He defeated 2,000 Beach soldiers. Not only did he win, he also reclaimed lost territory." Before she can celebrate, the soldier's face changes. He shows her the broken protective charm. Though Yongsu reclaimed the land, he was hit by a hidden arrow and died in battle. The princess collapses to the ground. In this first round, she loses before even picking up a weapon. At her husband's funeral, Missil delivers another cruel blow. Missil mocks her and tells her to run away. She says, as the master of the Kying star, this is her last act of mercy. These words actually fill the princess with fighting spirit. This time she will prepare thoroughly. She asks her father to leave the palace to become a nun, but she is actually pregnant with Yongsu's child. She just wants to leave the palace to safely give birth. This trick fools both her father and Missil. Missil really thinks her threats worked. She believes the princess ran away and lets her guard down outside the palace. The princess gives birth to her child with help from Yongchun. She finds news about Munno, the national preceptor. Munno is a symbol of Hwarang. The princess wants his help. He was last seen 2 or 3 years ago. She wants to find him to control Hwarang for her own use. She decides to visit Munno herself. By coincidence, news of Munno's appearance reaches Missil too. Missil won't keep anyone who won't serve her, but she fears angering Hwarang. So she acts secretly. She orders her son, Boj Jong, with Seolwyn, to assassinate Munno. Missil has married many times and has several sons. Both groups head in the same direction. The princess and Missil's direct confrontation begins now. seeing a beautiful woman on the boat. The tomboy rushes forward. She doesn't know. The woman dressed as a nun is actually the princess. The guard tells the tomboy to leave the boat. The tomboy tries to bribe them with money, but she gets grabbed and thrown into the river. The tomboy tries to climb back, but the guard stops her. Just then bandits shoot arrows at them. The guard gets hit. The princess tries to pull the tomboy up. An arrow is now aimed at the princess. The tomboy sees this and pulls the princess into the water. After reaching shore, the princess has no guards left. She has to follow Dakman. She asks Dakman to be her guard, but the princess's proud attitude annoys Dakman. A small snake crawls onto the princess's foot. The princess freezes in fear and asks Dakman for help to teach her a lesson. Dakman makes the princess beg. The princess still acts tough. The snake wraps around her foot, but Dakman does nothing. Finally, the princess gives in. She cries for help. Dakman grabs the snake and throws it away. She tells the princess, "When you're weak, you should behave." Tears fill the princess's eyes. Just then the bandits catch up with them. They run but accidentally roll down a cliff. Dakman grabs some grass. Luckily, the princess is at the edge. She throws down a thin rope to pull Dakman up, but the rocks on the cliff are loose. The princess's hands bleed from pulling. Dakman still can't climb up. Seeing the princess might fall with her, Dakman lets go and jumps down, but she struggles to swim up. She slowly loses consciousness. When she wakes up, the princess is by her side. The princess jumped down too. She saves Dakman and drags her to shore. At night, while cleaning Dakman's face, the princess notices a birthmark on Dakman's neck. It looks exactly like hers. They both think it's a strange coincidence. They don't know yet that they are twin sisters. They travel together to Eureka Temple to find Munno, but when they enter they see piles of bodies and men in black. Before they can react, one man recognizes the princess. They run outside with the men chasing them. They hide in the woods. As one man turns around, the princess sees it's Boj Jong, Missil's son. While searching, another man spots them. Suddenly an arrow flies in as another group attacks. The two escape during the chaos while Boj Jong chases them alone. He shoots an arrow that hits the princess's arm. The princess rolls down the hillside. Boj Jong holds a knife to Dakman's neck. Then the same group shoots Boj Jong with an arrow. Boj Jong crashes into Dakman and they both roll downhill. Missil soon hears the news. She can't understand why the princess, who became a nun, would appear at Eureka Temple. She also wonders if the princess recognized Boj Jong as the attacker. Meanwhile, the king learns about this. The one who rescued the princess last night was her brother-in-law Yong-chun, who serves the royal family. He's been secretly helping her against Missil. The princess's disappearance is serious. He has to tell the king. The angry king decides to go to Munnu Fortress to oversee the search. Meanwhile, the injured, unconscious princess is found by local Hwarang warriors. Thinking she's a bandit, they tie her up in the armory. When she wakes up, their leader, Kim Yushin, questions her identity. Angry about being tied up for no reason, Kim Yushin says she looks like a noble young man. Too annoyed to answer, she ignores him. Then says directly, "Bring me the governor of Munnu County, Kim Seo-hyun." Hearing her tone, Kim Yushin is shocked. He asks the woman who she is. The princess refuses to answer and demands to see the governor. The governor is Kim Yushin's father. He scolds her for saying the governor's name so rudely. He grabs her and tries to take her to the office. They see a crowd gathered around a notice. They go closer to look. The notice is from the king, searching for the missing princess. Their leader, Kim Yushin, still doesn't realize he doesn't know they've caught the princess. A boy reads the princess's description from the notice. 5 feet tall, last seen by the Chongsan stream, wearing yellow monk's clothes. When she disappeared, everyone looks at her and wonders if it's her. They can't believe it. This is the princess. The princess is brought to the king. Kim Yushin comes to apologize. Hearing he's Governor Kim Seo-hyun's son, the princess changes her mind. She stops Kim Yushin from apologizing. She says he actually saved her life. Kim Yushin is surprised. The king is happy and wants to reward him. Kim Yushin doesn't dare accept any reward. Then the princess speaks. She says Kim Yushin should focus on training. She suggests promoting Kim Seo-hyun to the capital. At the same time, she plans to assign little Kim to the capital's Hwarang warriors under her direct command. Missil, standing nearby, understands the princess's intentions. Kim Seo-hyun is from the Gaia clan. The princess wants to win over the Gaia people to oppose her. So Missil finds an excuse. She opposes Kim Seo-hyun's appointment in the capital. She says Kim Seo-hyun's wife is the king's sister, and the two eloped. The queen mother banned them from entering the capital. The princess ignores this. She asks where Missil's son Boj Jong is. The princess already knows Boj Jong attacked the temple that day. He shot her, and then disappeared after being wounded, and he still hasn't been found. Surprisingly, Missil stays calm when she hears this. She asks the princess what she means. The princess says she saw Boj Jong at the temple. Missil sharply asks the princess if she can take responsibility for her words. The princess says Boj Jong should come and face her. Missil quickly agrees to bring Boj Jong tomorrow. The princess promises to drop the request for Kim Seo-hyun's appointment if Boj Jong appears. The princess now sees through Missil's game. After Missil leaves, she tells the king, even if Boj Jong comes, her word alone isn't enough to prove he attacked the temple. Normally Missil would have pointed this out, but today she quickly agreed to bring Boj Jong. It must be because they haven't found Boj Jong yet. Missil is already panicking. She's just instinctively acting tough. Seeing how much his daughter has grown outside the palace these years, the king feels hopeful about taking power back from Missil. Everyone quietly waits for the next day to come. But what surprises them is the next day Missil actually brings Boj Jong with her. Turns out after Boj Jong was shot that day, he rolled down the hill with Dakman. When Dakman wakes up, she sees Boj Jong is still alive. Feeling pity, she drags him back to treat his wounds. On her way to buy medicine, she meets two con men. One of them actually knows some medicine. He removes the arrow and bandages the wound. Back at their place, the con men hear an official offering 40 taels of silver to find someone. After hearing the description of the person, the con man suddenly realizes it's the same guy he just treated. So he reports the news to the official. They agree on a meeting spot that night. Missil personally leads men there. The con man recognizes Missil and knows that after finding the target, Missil will surely kill witnesses. So he runs away halfway. The next morning, Dakman wakes up to find Boj Jong has escaped on his own. The con man rushes back and tells Dakman to run. He says Missil's men will come to silence them soon. But when they reach the city, the two con men still get caught. Dakman remembers how they warned her to run. She feels she owes them for their kindness. She boldly stops the king's carriage. There she spots Boj Jong. He's the killer from the temple. The young officer denies ever knowing the boy. A general scolds the boy for causing trouble. Angry, the boy rushes up to the officer. He shows a ring that belongs to the officer's family. Now the officer can't deny it. The boy then confronts Missil, the officer's mother. He demands she free his friends and pay the promised 40 gold coins. Missil is furious. She had almost defeated the princess. Now this boy ruins her plans. The princess takes the boy under her wing. Years pass by. The princess slowly gains more power. Missil can't stand this. She tells Chongwon to report strange signs in the sky, saying the kingdom faces danger. A sky worship ceremony is needed as Scylla's holy woman. Missil leads the ceremony, sitting in the temple. She claims to receive a divine message. She says heavens will wait by the market. Well, everyone rushes to the market. A crowd has already gathered there. After a few moments, loud explosions sound. A Buddha statue slowly rises from the ground. Its chest is carved with words, "Expel the people of Gaia." The news reaches the king, who asks what it means. Missil brings a piece of paper. She combines the characters to form the word Gaia. This means the Gaia people must be expelled. These are all supporters of Princess Kianmaying. Of course the princess disagrees. Missil warns that if they are not expelled, a lunar eclipse will occur in 3 days. It will be another warning from heaven. If they defy heaven's will again, a great famine will strike within 24 days. Bodies will litter the streets. Hearing this, the princess and king are shocked. The people also begin to murmur. They believe the Gaia people should leave the capital. Soon the 3-day deadline arrives. Everyone looks up at the sky. Can Missil truly receive messages from heaven? Will there be an eclipse? Sadly, the eclipse appears right on time. At midnight, the princess goes to the temple. She questions why heaven favors Missil, but chose her as the master of the Kyang star. She doesn't know yet that the true master of the Kyang star is actually her twin sister, Dakman. The next day, the king announces the king orders to drive all Gaia people out of the capital. The princess loses much power as Missil's plan succeeds. Shocked by recent events, Dakman goes to see the princess and asks her, "Is their enemy Missil really a demigod?" The princess tells Dakman, 30 years ago Missil was just an ordinary shaman. At that time, Scylla suffered its worst drought in a century. Missil prayed at the altar for days, even while running a high fever. Then rain finally came. Since then she could predict eclipses and weather changes with perfect accuracy. People began calling her a demigod. She gained power to challenge the royal family. This makes Dakman more confused. She goes straight to Missil, asks how she does it. Missil knows Dakman works for the princess. She openly says it's the calendar. She uses it to make people believe she's a demigod. With people's support she can get anything she wants. She tells Dakman to warn the princess. Don't fight me. The princess can't win. This frightens Dakman more. She heard of such calendars in China, but never saw one. More importantly, even with a calendar, precise calculations are needed. You need precise calculations to predict solar and lunar eclipses. How did Missil manage to do this? The young maid finds 2 Chinese calendars. They are called the Great Ming Calendar. These books are extraordinary. They change the maid's fate completely. She studies them carefully. At this time, Silla faces a drought. Using the 24 solar terms and the calendar's predictions, she knows the rainy season is coming. She volunteers to pray for rain. But praying alone isn't enough to become a goddess. After years of searching, she meets a monk. She gives him the calendar, and he treasures it. With the calendar, the monk calculates exact eclipse dates. The maid announces them as divine messages. People start calling her the half-goddess Missil. She marries 2 kings in a row. For the third, she wants to rule herself. She tells Dakman to warn the princess. If the princess surrenders, Missil will let her leave. Then she offers the princess a painting. It shows King Jinhong catching a tiger. Dakman notices the small knife in his hand. She's shocked because she has that same knife. Not knowing her past, Dakman wonders could she be related to the royal family. With this question, she goes to the princess. First, she repeats Missil's warning. Then she asks about the little hero knife. But Qianming doesn't know either. But Qianming promises to investigate for Dakman. She asks Queen Maya, who looks shocked. She says the little hero knife was lost. Qianming then asks King Jinhong, who has the same reaction, but he says he gave the knife to Munno. Their different answers make Qianming suspicious. She hears Dakman's mother, Sowa, was once a palace maid, so she secretly checks Sowa's palace records. Soon servants report Sowa served the king and died on Qianming's birthday. This strange coincidence makes Qianming more curious. She checks historical records about that day. She finds Munno and Chilsuk both disappeared that same day. She remembers Dakman told her Chilsuk has been chasing her and her mother. Plus Dakman has the same ear birthmark as her. Qianming suddenly realizes Dakman might be her twin sister, because twins were seen as bad luck. Missil could use this against them. So the king and queen abandoned Dakman. To confirm her guess, she questions Queen Maya again. After much pressure, the queen finally confesses. Qianming takes her mother to meet Dakman. But Dakman can't accept the truth yet. For Dakman's safety, Qianming plans to send her away to protect Dakman. Qianming prepares to send her to another place. But unexpectedly Missil has been monitoring the princess's entire investigation. She now knows Dakman's true identity. Shocked, Missil plans to use this to blackmail the king. She sends people to capture Dakman alive. To stop Missil's plan, the king's closest advisor acts without orders. He sends someone to kill Dakman. The boy touches the chubby doll in front of him. His master asks if the doll is pretty. The boy grins foolishly. This doll is the wife his master found for him. But soon after, when the master checks on the girl doll again, he's told she has been taken away. But the connection between these 2 children isn't over. 20 years later, the 2 children meet again. Now the girl is being chased by killers. The boy from before happens to pass by. Trained by his master, he has unmatched fighting skills. He defeats all the killers by himself. As he picks up his sword again, another man appears behind him. Thinking he means harm, the man swings his sword at him. Dakman quickly stops them both. She explains what really happened. Now the 2 most important men in Dakman's life have both appeared. One is her current best friend, Kim Yushin. The other is Bidum, who will love and fight with her. After many attacks, Dakman and Yushin decide to follow Bidum to Yangik village. But on the way they meet another group trying to capture Dakman. After fighting off the attackers together, they jump off a cliff to escape. Kim Yushin knows Dakman will keep being hunted in Silla. He decides to take her out of Silla. Bidum volunteers to find them a boat. He quietly enters the city, but finds another group searching for Dakman. He follows them curiously and discovers it's the princess. Bidum brings the princess to their hiding cave. The sisters hug for the first time. After reuniting, The princess joins the team, helping Dakman escape. They come up with a plan. Dakman will wear the princess's clothes to escape, but someone spots them. The princess's guards fight off the assassins. Yushin pulls Dakman toward the river. Dakman changes clothes, and the princess sees them off. But just then the escaped assassin returns. He thinks Dakman is still wearing the princess's clothes. He shoots an arrow at the princess. The arrow is poisoned. The princess will die in 4 hours. Dakman takes Bidum to buy medicine before dying. The princess asks Yushin to take Dakman far from Scylla and protect her. Meanwhile, Dakman and Bidum rush back without stopping, but they're too late. The princess dies. They just reunited but now face life and death separation. Dakman cries uncontrollably in disbelief. The next day, the princess's guards bring back her body. The two groups chasing and trying to capture Dakman finally realize they made a huge mistake. When the king hears the news, he feels both grief and anger. Missil also receives the news. She clearly ordered Dakman to be captured alive. How could the princess die? She realizes her subordinates must have disobeyed her orders. She orders everyone to stop all actions, not to provoke the king further. After investigation, her own brother sent people to kill Dakman, causing the princess's tragic death. She mercilessly sends her brother a bottle of poison. Missil tells him to drink it. Her brother can't believe it and asks how she could make him drink poison. Missil says she even sacrificed her own child. So what's a brother to her? Her brother begs and says it was Chongwon's plan. Chongwon said Dakman has the face of a ruler. Only by killing her can they remove the threat forever. Missil finds Chongwon, who still warns her Dakman must be killed. Confident Missil doesn't believe any of this. She's the one who fools people with celestial signs. She tells Chongwon to think carefully which is stronger, heaven's will or Missil's power. Then she leaves a bottle of poison and walks away. After suffering for some time, Dakman decides not to run away. She wants to fulfill her sister's dying wish and defeat Missil. First step, she needs to find the monk who helps Missil predict celestial signs. Chongwon stares at the girl in shock. She never expected a girl to have the face of a king. Now Chongwon realizes this girl is the true master of the Kyang star. Just then Missil arrives to confront the girl. Chongwon tells the girl to hide behind the screen. Missil enters slowly. Chongwon gives Missil advice for the second time. You must kill the twin sister immediately if you find her, otherwise you can't become queen. Confident Missil suddenly gets furious. She yells that she controls destiny, not some monk. She doesn't believe in the Kyang star's power, nor that she'll fail to become queen. She shouts at Chongwon for daring to predict her fate. Since Missil won't listen, maybe this is heaven's will. Chongwon feels no need to help Missil anymore. She drinks poison without hesitation. With her last breath, she says loudly, "Only Master Wulchen at Wadiok Temple can help you now." This message is actually for Dakman, hiding behind the screen. Dakman goes to Wadiok Temple, but finds Missil's men already defeated. The master is gone. Her guards find a dagger stuck in a pillar. A letter is tied to it. It's a challenge from the Gaia people to Missil. The Gaia people also kidnapped Master Wulchen. Dakman leads her people in searching everywhere. They finally find the Gaia people's secret hideout. But before they can attack, they get surrounded. Just as a big fight is about to start, Kim Yushin appears. He tells everyone to lower their weapons. He says, Dakman is the future of the Gaia people. She is their queen. Then he kneels before Dakman. All the Gaia people around them kneel too. This becomes Dakman's first loyal force for her future throne. Dakman takes Yushin to a quiet place. She asks why he did this. Kim Yushin says because she's the woman he loves. Only she can take Scylla back from Missil. He promises to hide his love from now on and just be her general. This confession makes Dakman's eyes fill with tears. After years together, she has also fallen for Yushin. Dakman finds Master Wulchen and gives him a calendar. She asks him to calculate when the next eclipse will happen. This way she can use heaven's will to reclaim her princess identity. But the master refuses to help. Dakman can't wait any longer. She gets some bone powder and catches birds at night. These birds fly with glowing wings, circling above the palace. People whisper that something big is coming. The glow comes from bone powder on the bird's wings. The next day Dakman puts ugly makeup on Bidum. She tells him to wear a mask. Bidum asks why. Dakman explains Missil can read people's thoughts, so he must never remove the mask. Following the plan, Bidum dresses as a Taoist priest. At the market, he uses a magnifying glass to light fire from afar. People think he's a god descended from heaven. Then he makes a stone tablet rise from the ground. The tablet says, "When Qianming dies, the sun will disappear. A new princess must rise." Qianming means the princess. It means when the old princess dies, the sun will be eaten. A new princess must be chosen to bring back daylight. Bidum shouts, "This is heaven's will." Missil angrily crumbles the tablet. These are old tricks to her, as Scylla's holy woman. But the fooled crowd waits for her to predict the eclipse. Will there really be an eclipse? Missil orders Bidum's arrest. She personally questions him. First she tears off Bidum's mask. Seeing his scars, she disgustedly tells him to wear it again. Everything goes as Dakman planned. Next step, make Missil believe in the eclipse. But Missil won't let him speak. She asks, "If you know heaven's will, when will you die?" Bidum knows any answer would be wrong because the woman could kill him at any time. Others nearby are waiting to see the priest make a fool of himself. But surprisingly the priest looks around for a moment. He pretends to hesitate and says, "It seems I can't hide it anymore." He claims his death will come just 3 days before the king's. Everyone around them is stunned. Now he's dragged the king into this. No one can kill him now. Whoever does would be wishing for the king to die 3 days later. Missil is so angry her mouth twists. She calls the priest into her room. She asks who he is. The man hesitates. Dakman warned him never to remove his mask because Missil can read people's thoughts from their expressions. But after their earlier exchange the man feels overconfident. Not only does he take off his mask, he also removes all the disguise from his face. He boldly tells Missil his name is Bidum. He's Dakman's messenger and shows her a letter. It contains the master's prediction of when the eclipse will happen. But Missil won't believe it so easily. If it's wrong, her reputation as the divine woman would be questioned. She keeps testing Bidum. Bidum tells her to decide for herself. Seeing Bidum's confidence, Missil can't make up her mind yet. But after locking Bidum in a cell, Missil recalls the details of their meeting. She suddenly notices that, despite Bidum's confidence, his eyes keep looking at her, but he never makes eye contact. She suspects Bidum brought fake news. There won't be a solar eclipse. Just then Dakman's second messenger arrives. He brings Missil another letter. Missil refuses to read it and orders it burned, since it's from her rival. It's what her rival wants her to see. Following the rival's plan would mean falling into their trap. Missil wants to stay in control, but as her guard takes the letter away, she stops him and opens it. Inside is a calendar for predicting eclipses. This shocks Missil. With this calendar, Master Wulchen could help Dakman predict the eclipse. This again changes her earlier judgment. She calls back the second messenger. Kim Yushin remembers Dakman's words. Always look Missil in the eyes. Only then will she believe him honest. Yushin stares straight into Missil's eyes. Missil asks if the eclipse was truly predicted. Yushin simply answers yes. Missil stops asking about the eclipse. She casually asks something else. This surprises Yushin. A flicker of panic crosses his eyes. Missil immediately knows Yushin is lying. She tells him to warn Dakman that the eclipse won't happen. This time her little trick fails. This makes Yushin even more nervous. He didn't expect to be caught so quickly. To make sure she's right, Missil needs to check again. She remembers Bidum in prison. She tells guards to talk loudly outside, saying she confirmed no eclipse will come. They'll announce it publicly soon. Then Bidum will be sent to the execution block. Hearing this, Bidum realizes something's wrong. He remembers Dakman's warning. If the plan fails, he must escape alone. When moving cells, he breaks free and tries to run. Missil waits for this. She traps him again and proves her guess was right. Bidum first sees how tricky Missil is. Then Missil posts notices announcing no eclipse will come. She decides to burn Bidum for fooling people. Next day, Bidum is tied at the execution ground. As they light the fire, a soldier turns. His torch drops as a real eclipse begins. The sun starts getting covered. Everyone looks at the sky. It grows dark. People kneel down. A man shouts, "This is heaven's will. The rising star shall establish Scylla's bright future. It means we must crown a new princess. Only then can Scylla dispel this ominous eclipse." As the eclipse slowly fades, a woman appears on the balcony opposite. She is the new princess, Dakman. A guard beside her shouts, "This is the prophesied rising star." The people cheer with joy. The king and queen bring Dakman to the platform. They raise her hand and declare her Scylla's princess. The crowd shouts, "Long live the princess." Missil, standing on the platform, realizes she can't underestimate Dakman. To trick Missil this time, Dakman even fooled her most loyal followers. Bidum, and Yushin. As princess, she quickly adapts to her role. To strengthen her power, she boldly makes Yushin leader of the Hwarang warriors. Missil won't accept this easily. During the official appointment, Missil's General Sealwyn questions Yushin. Why do so many Gaia people live on your family's land? Yushin is startled, but quickly replies claiming they're just tenant farmers. General Sealwyn doesn't press further, but Missil smiles strangely. After the meeting, Sealwyn shows a contract. It's Yushin's land grant agreement with the Gaia people. Earlier, to gain Gaia's loyalty to Dakman, Yushin gives his family's land to the Gaia people for free farming. Seeing this contract, the princess is not just shocked, but also moved by Yushin's silent support. But now the contract falls into Missil's hands. They haven't made it public yet because their goal is clear, to force Yushin to switch sides. The princess can't accept losing Yushin, not just for his loyalty, but also her love for him. She tells Yushin he can follow Missil's demand and hand over the Gaia leader. But Yushin refuses. He says if they give up the leader, Missil will demand more next time. He asks, aren't we fighting Missil to protect our people? He warns the princess not to lose the people's trust. Bidum and his teacher Munno overhear these words. Munno now believes Yushin has kingly qualities. He once placed his hopes on Bidum and wanted to match him with the princess. He even spent decades making a map of the 3 kingdoms, hoping Bidum would marry her and become king to unite the kingdoms. But when Bidum was 10, something changed Munno's mind. Bidum held the 3 kingdoms map. 2 refugees think it's something valuable and snatch it from him. That night Munno returns and hears Bidum went after the refugees. He rushes to the mountain where the refugees gather, but everyone in the cave is already dead. Only after carrying Bidum out does he realize Bidum gave the refugees poisoned food. He killed them all. But Bidum doesn't seem to care. He only cares about the map in his arms. From this moment on, Munno starts to see Bidum's cruel nature. He may not be the right person to become king now. Seeing Yushin, Bidum instantly seems less worthy. Munno decides to give the map to Yushin instead. Bidum stops his teacher halfway. He asks if the map still belongs to him. Munno avoids answering, so Bidum secretly follows him. He sees his teacher meeting with a merchant. More importantly, he eavesdrops outside. They're talking about the 3 Han territories map. With the merchant's support, Munno will finish the final part of the map. He says its true owner has appeared, a simple man who truly cares for people. Hearing this, Bidum knows it's Yushin. He can't believe, after years of loyalty, an outsider is chosen over him. Meanwhile, Yushin makes his own decision for his people. He kneels before Missil. He agrees to switch sides just as the princess arrives to provoke the princess. Missil makes a demand. She wants Yushin to marry a woman from her family. Yushin agrees. He sacrifices his love in return. The Gaia people pledge loyalty to the princess. Learning Yushin and the princess can't be together, Bidum goes to his master again. He demands the map of the 3 Han territories. He wants to be king. The man points his sword at his master. After a few clashes, he's clearly no match for his master. But suddenly, a hidden gun fires from behind a tree. A needle then hits the master's neck. The needle is poisoned. Bidum doesn't hesitate. He carries his master back to the city. The dropped 3 Han map is soon picked up by a merchant. At night, the dying master warns Bidum, forget about being king. Go back and serve the princess. Then he collapses in Bidum's arms. But Bidum won't give up his dream of kingship. He fights his way to the merchant. Only the merchant knows about the 3 Han map. Now the merchant says he already sold the map. Bidum forces him to find the buyer at the door. The buyer turns out to be the princess's nephew, Kim Chunchu. The young man seems reckless, but he also wants the throne. Bidum draws his sword without hesitation. He orders them to prepare the map properly. Then he takes the merchant to a remote wilderness. He wants to avenge his master. But the merchant offers him an offer he can't refuse. The map of Salmon's terrain is his intelligence network. It was made with Munno's help. Now he can let Bidum use this network. Bidum cuts the merchant's cheek with his sword. He tells him to remember this scar on his face. It means death if he betrays him again. After this, Bidum uses his master's letter. He forces his way into the Hwarang to serve Dakman. Now Dakman faces a difficult problem. There's a riot in Angong because of food shortages. But the governor still demands taxes like before. Angong is Missil's territory. Missil wants to make people rebel. She wants to trouble Dakman. She hopes Dakman will beg for her help. But instead Dakman goes to Angong with her people. She will solve the problem there. This surprises Missil. Dakman arrests some tribal elders. She asks why they rebelled. They say it's because of the bad harvest. But the governor still wants taxes. People have no food left, so they rebel. Dakman says she will return this year's 250 sacks of grain. She also gives them iron farming tools. But there's one condition. On top of their current farmland, the village elder must lead the people to clear new fields. Next year, the total tax for all land combined will only be 300 bushels of grain. The elder and villagers agree immediately. To calm the people's anger, the princess also decides not to punish them for rebelling. This seems like a win-win deal. The people gain more land and income while the court gets 50 extra bushels in taxes. But right after returning to the capital, the princess gets news that the villagers fled with their grain. This feels like a slap in her face. Yushin orders all Hwarang warriors to hunt and bring back the runaway villagers. Meanwhile, Missil visits the princess and mocks her belief that kindness and communication can rule people. She says punishment is the best way to control others. Rewards should only be extras. Children obey after being hit, then given candy. Only candy spoils them. Though they're rivals, these words teach the princess a lesson. She rushes back to the village. The captured villagers just beg for another chance. Not seeing their betrayal, the princess feels deeply disappointed. Remembering Missil's words, she realizes punishment works best. So she raises her sword and kills 2 elders. She gives the others another chance. This is like the stick and carrot approach. Right after solving the Angong problem, Dakman returns to the capital and faces new troubles with the king sick and no male heir. They start looking for a husband for her. The king wants her to marry so her husband can become crown prince. But Dakman says, why bother with others? She declares she'll be crown princess herself. The court and king are shocked. There's never been a female ruler before. Missil, another woman who wants the throne, hears this. She can't stay calm. So their conflict becomes unavoidable. To win noble support, Dakman announces tax reforms. Nobles with over 5,000 sak land pay higher taxes. Those with less get tax cuts. This plan helps her gain support from most small nobles and commoners. The people love her. Missil sees people favoring Dakman. She prepares a new law. It bans princesses from politics. During the council vote, she blocks 2 ministers who support Dakman. Without their votes, the law will pass easily. Dakman's ally Yushin learns about this. He rushes to the voting meeting with his Hwarang warriors. They draw swords and push past the blocking soldiers. They escort the 2 ministers into the meeting hall. After the 2 ministers vote against the bill fails to pass. But this is just the start of Missil's plan. Now the Sangdidyung accuses Yushin. Why bring swords into the Wabak meeting? This is treason. Yushin realizes he's been tricked when he steps outside. Under Missil's orders, General Sealwyn has already surrounded the Hwarang with soldiers. Yushin tells everyone to lower their swords. He hopes this will end the conflict here. But Missil has thought of everything. She has someone fire a hidden arrow. Sealwyn's soldiers use this to escalate the situation. Both sides start fighting. But this isn't enough. A soldier guarding the Sangdidyung secretly stabs the Sangdidyung with his sword. This was also planned by Missil, and the Sangdidyung news spreads about the Sangdidyung's attack. A local army, Missil had won over earlier, calls this an act of treason. They march toward the capital in full force and quickly take control around the capital. All preparations are now complete. Missil storms into the king's palace. She takes control of the king. She says, today's Wabak meeting was to discuss removing the princess's political rights. Then Dakman's people rush into the meeting with swords soon after the chief minister gets stabbed. This clearly shows Dakman is rebelling. The king doesn't believe it. Missil stops pretending. She says she will handle this matter for the king. Missil takes the royal seal and issues an order in the king's name. She commands to arrest Dakman and all her supporters. Dakman tries to escape in disguise with Kim Chunchu, but they get surrounded at the palace gate. Kim Yushin blocks the way as they're about to be caught, but he can't stop the endless soldiers. Then Bidum arrives with more fighters. More palace soldiers keep coming. Bidum opens the palace gate. He escapes with Dakman and Chunchu. Failing to catch Dakman puts Missil in a weak position again. The longer this goes on, the more people will join Dakman's side. Time for plan 2. She orders to kill Dakman instead of capturing her and calls a royal meeting with all officials. The next day Dakman doesn't rest. After escaping, she finds General Han, who Missil tried to recruit. She offers him the same deal as Missil, plus keeping his private army. She won't take his soldiers. General Han doesn't trust her. Yet Dakman doesn't push. She knows he'll regret it. Next day, Missil sits on the throne. At the meeting, she creates a new military office. Fearing nobles will support Dakman, she orders all nobles with private armies, over 1,000 soldiers, to surrender their military power. Otherwise, the defense office will deal with them. One minister voices his objection. He wants to hear the king's opinion directly. With just one look from Missil, the minister is killed on the spot. Now General Han understands what Princess Dakman meant last night. This is meant to cut off all nobles' power. Seeing Missil using deadly force against nobles, Princess Dakman decides to take a big risk. She actually goes to see Missil in person because she knows her opponent. Missil won't dare kill her in front of so many people. At the same time, she makes a demand. She says, since she's accused of treason, she requests a public trial so she can at least die knowing why. After some hesitation, Missil sees no other choice. If she kills Dakman without reason now, she'll lose moral authority. Nobles will side with the last royal Kim Chunchu. So she agrees to a public trial, but not just for Dakman alone. She summons all nobles with over 1,000 soldiers who refuse to give up their armies to the trial, planning to kill them all. Then who's left to support Kim Chunchu? The trial is set for 3 days later. Before that, Missil personally visits General Han, guarding the capital, for a brief talk. She realizes General Han has already met with Dakman. After leaving, she orders General Han to be killed during the trial. But General Han is still unsure which side to choose. 3 days later, the public trial begins as planned. The assassination attempt on General Han starts too unexpectedly. Another group arrives and saves General Han. They are Princess Dakman's people. When Dakman first met General Han, she knew Missil would find out. She was sure Missil wouldn't tolerate General Han's indecision. So when Missil makes her move, General Han will have to join Dakman's side. Sure enough, General Han kneels before Kim Chunchu with his men. 5,000 soldiers and dozens of nobles join them. The counterattack begins. News of the failed assassination reaches Missil, but she still has the king. She can still control the kingdom through him. She orders the palace gates closed for battle. But just then Bidum arrives on horseback, dressed as the nation's spiritual leader. Kim Yushin follows him. Kim Yushin orders the warriors to protect the royal family. The warriors always follow their spiritual leader. They quickly take control of the king's palace. Now Missil loses. She shoots an arrow at Dakman, but surprisingly a small knife on Dakman's chest blocks the arrow. Maybe it's fate? Before leaving, Missil orders all the nobles and princesses present to be executed. At the last moment, Bidum arrives with soldiers and saves Princess Dakman. Missil was about to escape through the secret tunnel, but she suddenly decides to break through the palace gates instead. If the secret tunnel is already discovered, she would be trapped like a rat. After decades of planning, Missil has loyal followers willing to die for her. A bloody battle happens at the palace gates, but she manages to escape. She makes Day Fortress her new stronghold. Day Fortress has strong walls. Missil also stored lots of food there earlier. Dakman realizes the war with Missil may last for years, maybe even decades. Meanwhile, Missil's people work in every part of the government. Now that Missil is gone, the whole government stops working. Dakman decides to talk with Missil for peace. She wants Missil to return to court, but Missil refuses. She says, from Soham to Dosa County, these lands were won with my blood and King Jinhong's. Though I'm not queen, I've ruled this country for decades. It's like my beloved child. How can I just give it up for peace? She rejects Dakman's offer back in the fortress. Missil thinks deeply. She knows Beach Kingdom watches Silla closely. This war with Dakman will have no real winner. So she makes her final decision. She sits on the throne she always wanted. She orders General Sealwyn to surrender. He leads the soldiers back to the court, but she refuses to surrender herself. Instead, she drinks poison and dies quietly. This is how the powerful woman ends her life. At the same time, the king also passes away. Princess Dakman becomes the new queen. She works hard to improve farming and silk production. She stops Bidum's rebellion. This helps unite the 3 Korean kingdoms with Tang China's support.